Around 11 a.m. on September 29th, a fire suddenly broke out at CATL's production site, one of China's leading battery manufacturers. Videos circulating online show a white multi-story building engulfed in flames, with thick smoke rising high to the sky. The fire was visible from tens of kilometers away due to the towering smoke. A local resident mentioned that she noticed the fire around noon, and by 3 p.m. it was still burning. You could see the flames, and the smoke was really thick. A worker from a nearby shop said the fires seemed to have started between 11 a.m. and noon, with more than 10 fire trucks arriving on the scene. The manager of a restaurant located behind CATL's Z-Base factory said they smelled smoke around 12:30 p.m. The fire was huge. At first, the fire trucks couldn't access one part of the factory, so they had to take another route. The restaurant manager also mentioned that people were still dining in the restaurant that afternoon. A group of about 8 or 9 people, all from the new energy sector, came in around 1 p.m. They were discussing the fire during their meal, but they didn't seem to know the cause. The fire continued to burn throughout the day and wasn't fully extinguished until around 10:20 p.m., although thick smoke still lingered above the building. The cause of the fire remains unknown, and nearby roads were temporarily closed. There are no confirmed reports of casualties yet. On September 29th, the Dongqiao Economic and Technological Development Zone Fire Department announced that they hadn't received any reports of injuries or deaths. However, staff from Ningde's 120 emergency service confirmed that 3 people had been sent to Ningde City Hospital. In response, some people expressed doubts about the official report. One online commenter asked, "No deaths? Who are they fooling? A whole bunch must have died." Another bluntly stated, "There's no transparency in this country, no real facts." Others speculated that withholding information might be a way to offer more hush money to victims' families. The fire occurred at CATL's lithium battery factory at their Z-Base, about a 30-minute drive from the city center. The factory produces batteries mainly for electric vehicle companies, including Tesla. These batteries are a critical part of the production of electric vehicles. According to SNE research, from 2017 to 2023, CATL has ranked number 1 globally in terms of battery usage for 7 consecutive years. CATL Z-Base, which includes a cell factory, module pack factory, and a coating factory, began construction in September 2019 and started production in September 2020. It's known as the world's first lighthouse factory in the lithium battery industry. After the fire, some online commentators expressed their concern. One wrote, "There's disasters happening everywhere in China these days." Another joked, "The batteries caught fire even before they were installed in cars?" And they even burned their own factory. Really ruthless. Others wondered about the potential impact. Will this fire affect battery supply? And this kind of thing goes into cars? Later that afternoon, CATL responded to the incident on an online platform, stating that the fire occurred in an independent building within the Dongqiao site of their Ningde base. The company said they discovered the fire quickly and responded immediately. They claimed that the fire had been extinguished, there were no casualties, and that the cause was under investigation. They also mentioned that the affected products were limited and that the overall impact on the company's production was minimal. CATL's chairman, Zheng Yuchun, also responded to the media, stating that the issue wasn't significant. However, many online users questioned the company's response. In the comment sections under the related reports, one person asked, "How much was destroyed? How much was lost?" Dodging the specific numbers is just shady, trying to stabilize the stock price and deceive investors. Another added, "The fire burned from around 11 a.m. until 10 p.m., and the company says it's not a big deal?" Some online users expressed concerns, asking, "Have any harmful liquids leaked? Could this pollute the land and water in Ningde? It feels like living in Ningde is risky, especially in areas near the battery factory. Experts should evaluate this." In fact, CATL has experienced multiple explosions at its factories. On the evening of January 7, 2021, around 6 p.m., an explosion and fire broke out at a factory owned by Hunan Bangpu Recycling Technology Company, a subsidiary indirectly controlled by CATL. Video showed a mushroom cloud and loud explosion lighting up the night sky. Reports at the time stated that the explosion resulted in 1 death, 6 serious injuries, and 14 minor injuries. By January 11, 2021, CATL's market value, which had been nearing 990 billion yuan, had evaporated by almost 100 billion yuan. Hunan Bangpu is a fully owned subsidiary of Guangdong Recycling Technology Company. which is controlled by CATL, which holds over half of the shares. On January 8, 2021, following the explosion, rumors circulated online claiming that the factory was a dedicated supplier of lithium iron phosphate batteries for Tesla cars. However, CATL denied this, stating that the factory belonged to Guangdong Bangpu's subsidiary, which is a battery recycling company, not a Tesla supplier. According to business registration data, operations include the research, production, processing, and sale of new materials, batteries, and renewable energy. They also handle the collection, utilization, and sales of used batteries and waste materials containing nickel, copper, cobalt, and manganese. An engineer from an electric vehicle company told Economic Observer Online, "From the explosion photos, it doesn't seem like it was caused by improperly stored used batteries. There might have been an issue during the recycling process." Generally, in battery production, there's a high-temperature heating process in the presence of air or oxygen, so the risk of fire or explosion is usually low. CATL publicly stated that the Hunan Bangpu factory accident had a limited impact on its operations. However, based on the company's closing stock price of 413 yuan on the day of the accident, CATL's market value dropped by 20 billion yuan. Then, on the morning of January 20, 2021, another explosion occurred at a factory in Chujing, Yunnan. The explosion caused a cloud of yellow smoke, and the surrounding windows were shattered. A witness reported hearing a loud bang and seeing debris flying past them. According to reports, the company where the explosion occurred is Chujing Lingte Technology Company Limited, a subsidiary of DFD Nanotechnology. CATL and DFD each hold 40% and 60% of the shares, respectively. The company mainly engages in the research and development, as well as the sales of nanopowder materials reagents, standard samples of nanopowders and nanomaterial products, production and sales of nanolithium iron phosphate, import and export of nanomaterial products and technology, import and export of goods, and sales of mineral products. This was the second explosion in a CATL-affiliated company within a month. Chinese media reported that this highlighted the need for increased attention to safety in the new energy industry. CATL is the leader in the new production power sector championed by the Chinese government under Xi Jinping. It has ranked first globally in battery usage for 7 consecutive years. However, the market share of its lithium iron phosphate batteries has recently hit a record low. According to statistics released on September 10th by the China Automotive Power Battery Industry Innovation Alliance, in August, CATL installed 20.98 gigawatt-hours of power batteries in vehicles, a decrease of 2.8 percentage points from the previous month. Despite these setbacks, CATL's chairman, Zheng Yuchun, has remained highly confident in the company's success. He once publicly stated, "The Japanese invented lithium batteries, the Koreans scaled them up, and the Chinese made them #1 in the world." He added that if CATL isn't #1 in the world, it has no reason to exist. CATL's rise to success is due to a combination of factors, such as long-term financial support from Japan's TDK Group and technical assistance from BMW. However, the real reason CATL was able to become the leader in China's battery industry is largely thanks to the strong support from the Chinese government, with Xi Jinping's influence playing a significant role behind the scenes. From June 1988 to April 1990, Xi Jinping served as the party secretary of Ningde. Ningde was essentially the starting point of his political career, so achieving political accomplishments there was a priority for him. By September 2010, Xi had become vice president of China. He returned to Ningde for an inspection and urged the city to launch more major projects and embrace more golden babies to accelerate leapfrog development. CATL was founded in 2011, and with Xi's influence and central government support, the company rapidly grew. The battery industry was once dominated by companies like Panasonic from Japan and LG from South Korea. Their main products were high-tech, premium ternary lithium batteries, which catered to high-end electric vehicles. Meanwhile, Chinese companies such as BYD and Goshen High-Tech focused on the lower-end lithium iron phosphate market, LFP. CATL's founder, Zheng Yuchun, chose to diversify, producing both affordable LFP batteries and betting on high-end ternary lithium batteries. In 2015, CATL was included in a whitelist of over 50 Chinese companies published by the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology. Only vehicles using batteries from these listed companies were eligible for subsidies, effectively excluding Japanese and South Korean firms. By 2016, China began to subsidize long-range power batteries, primarily ternary lithium batteries, further boosting CATL as the only viable candidate for support. To gain these high subsidies, many electric vehicle manufacturers switched from LFP batteries to ternary lithium. That year, CATL's revenue increased by 161%, and its net profit surged by over 200%. Thanks to government policy support, CATL expanded rapidly, not only becoming the leader in China's lithium battery industry, but also successfully breaking into the global power battery market, traditionally dominated by Japan and South Korea. In August 2020, an article by Yi Cai pointed out a key logic in China's electric vehicle market. Government subsidy policies determine what kind of power battery products will be used and which cars will sell well. This logic was critical to CATL's success. Internationally, CATL's close relationship with the Chinese government has raised concerns among U.S. lawmakers and experts, leading to increasing pushback from Western companies and governments. On December 6, 2023, Duke Energy, a U.S. utility company, announced that out of safety concerns, it had disconnected CATL's large battery system from Camp Lejeune, a Marine Corps base in North Carolina. In August 2022, the U.S. passed the Inflation Reduction Act, aimed at promoting domestic manufacturing and bypassing China in the supply chain. It excludes Chinese-made electric vehicles, batteries, and other components from its supply chain. In June 2024, the U.S. Special Committee on Strategic Competition introduced the Battery Independence from Foreign Adversaries Act, which aims to prohibit the Department of Homeland Security from procuring batteries from 6 Chinese companies, including CATL, BYD, Goshen High-Tech, Envision, Eve Energy, and Lithium, while encouraging the decoupling of supply chains from these entities. On August 28, U.S. Senators Marco Rubio and John Molinar sent a letter to Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, urging the Department of Defense to immediately add CATL to the 1268 list includes Chinese entities operating in the U.S. with ties to the Chinese military or contributing to China's dual-use strategy. Companies on this list are barred from receiving U.S. military contracts. In their letter, Rubio and Molinar wrote that U.S. policymakers have a duty to resolutely oppose any attempts by adversaries to threaten U.S. security and economic stability. By adding CATL to the 1260H list, the Department of Defense would not only protect U.S. military infrastructure from the Chinese military, but also send a strong message to U.S. companies considering partnerships with CATL. The two lawmakers argued that CATL's ambition is to extend U.S. dependency on China-controlled energy infrastructure beyond the military. CATL has been expanding its reach through partnerships with major U.S. companies. According to its website, CATL has an official presence in Delaware. In Michigan, despite strong opposition from Congress and stakeholders, Ford is continuing the construction of its factory, which will use CATL technology to produce batteries. CATL has also announced plans to develop a substantial battery storage system in Texas. The U.S. House of Representatives Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party issued a statement on its website supporting the letter to Austin. The committee described CATL as an electric vehicle battery manufacturer closely connected to the Chinese Communist Party and its armed forces, the People's Liberation Army. It identified CATL as a key contributor to China's military-civil fusion policy, aimed at enhancing the capabilities of the Chinese military. Reliance on CATL batteries endangers U.S. national security by making us dependent on the CCP for energy infrastructure. The statement read, "The Department of Defense has already acknowledged the threat that CATL poses to our country. Despite this, the department has not yet placed CATL on the 1260H list. The National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2024 prohibits the Department of Defense from contracting with entities on the 1260H list, including CATL. Last December, nearly 30 bipartisan members of Congress, led by Marco Rubio, sent a letter to Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, expressing concerns that using Chinese-related equipment at U.S. military facilities could pose a national security risk. The lawmakers urged the Department of Defense to immediately remove CATL's batteries from Camp Lejeune, a Marine Corps base. and to conduct a thorough evaluation of all military facilities. They emphasized that companies funded and supported by the Chinese Communist Party should not be present or play any role in U.S. military facilities, especially at a site that trains U.S. forces for potential conflicts with China. Following these concerns, the Department of Defense removed CATL's batteries from Camp Lejeune. In addition, there are concerns about the safety of Chinese power batteries. At the 2024 World Power Battery Conference, 180 companies, including CATL, BYD, and Tesla, exhibited. These companies represented the entire supply chain of the power battery and electric vehicle industry. At the conference, CATL chairman Zheng Yuchun remarked that the safety levels of many power batteries on the market are far from adequate. He said, "Many battery products claim a safety failure rate of 1 in a million, but in reality, their safety failure rate is 1 in 1,000. Zhang cited a report from Chinese state media CCTV, stating that in 2023, the fire rate of new energy vehicles was about 0.96 per 10,000 vehicles. Currently, China has more than 25 million new energy vehicles, with billions of battery cells in use. When this absolute number is multiplied by the safety failure rate, the safety risks are evident." Zheng warned, if safety issues are not resolved, the consequences will be catastrophic. He emphasized that safety is the core of new energy vehicle technology development and is crucial to the success or failure of electric vehicles. Following these remarks, online users reacted strongly, with comments such as, "Not safe enough, yet they were produced, inspected, shipped, used, and then caught fire." Another user commented, "Consumer safety comes first. Without safety, these vehicles are just ticking time bombs. We don't know when they'll explode." Others added, "Not prioritizing safety is a disregard for human life. Serious research is needed." And, "If safety isn't guaranteed, why push for replacing gas-powered cars? It's all just empty promises."